And welcome to the Marcus and Mike Show. I am Mike. My man over here to the left is Marcus. Marcus, how you doing today, man?
Hey, pretty good. What's going on, man? Just another Monday in the world, huh?
Oh, I just got off of a 9-hour car ride directly back here to Louisville, Kentucky, and I'm a little jittery. I've had like
Oh, wow.
six or seven monsters and a couple Mountain Dews on the way here. But hey, we are
Wow, okay.
good and we are going to go. So last Thursday, Marcus, we did not go do a show Friday because I had some personal issues that I had to take care of, some
Right.
family issues, had to go up north and whatnot. But Thursday was a draft, and quite frankly, we all know who was going to go 1, 2, and 3, and that kind of panned out. It was Zion number 1 to the Pelicans, John Morant to the Grizzlies, R.J. Barrett to the Knicks, and then as you alluded to, the freak over there, the draft started at number 4 and the number 4 draft pick traded hands. It went from L.A. to New Orleans,
Yeah.
from New Orleans to Atlanta. So, and the fourth overall pick ultimately ended up being DeAndre Hunter.
Right.
You are a Spurs fan. I'm a Pacers fan. Um, how do you think the Pacers, or I'm sorry, the Spurs did in this year's draft right off the bat?
I thought they did pretty well. I'm usually not super giddy and high on the international players, but I watched Luka Samanic or Samanic, Samanic, however you pronounce it. I watched him in the Chicago pre-draft camp, and he did so well that they just shut him down. They said, "Hey, dude, you're going to be a first round pick. Let's go home." So he kicked the other draftees' butts there, and Isaiah Roby and guys like that. And Isaiah Roby's a pretty good basketball player, but he held his own. Not only did he hold his own, they couldn't really stop him on some of his moves, the spin moves and all that. He reminds me of Sabonis playing at Indiana. They're almost the same thing. And so, lefty 6'11", multi-dimensional. So I was very happy with the Luka pick, man. I would not have been as happy had I not seen him play against the other draftees,
Right.
but I saw it with my own eyes, and he did absolutely fabulous.
Yeah.
So, and then he's also not a draft and stash. He's gonna play like right away.
Right.
He's summer league. He's gonna be on the roster. This wasn't one of those picks where we'll see him in 4 years. So they play right away. Keldon Johnson is funny. He didn't even give a workout with the Spurs. He told the Spurs no on the workout. The Spurs 29th pick because he thought he'd be gone by 19. He goes, "Nah, I'm not lasting that far. I don't need a workout with you guys." And the Spurs, he was there at 29. So the Spurs got a pretty good player in 29, Keldon Johnson. Um, you know, man, he at 6'6", he could play in that small ball, small forward type. Man, he's gonna be fun to watch. He's tenacious. He's a good defender. Gets in your face. Um, Man, I really like the Spurs draft. Keldon Johnson's was a damn good pick at 29. He's very fortunate that he fell to 29. We just replaced Danny Green with Keldon Johnson, but Keldon Johnson can dribble drive a lot better than Danny Green. So this was a huge pick for the Spurs at 29. So I'm very happy with the draft. And then they got Quindary Weatherspoon from Mississippi State there, and he looks promising. He looks like he has a lot of talent. I don't think he'll play next year or the year, but just Keldon Johnson might not even crack the Spurs lineup this year. I think Luka will. The Spurs don't have enough big men for Luka not to play next year. So Luka Samanic is going to play next year. Keldon will play a little bit, but Keldon's probably a year or two away. But yeah, I'm very happy with the Spurs draft. Luka's pretty good, and because I watched him play against the other draftees, so that was my thing.
Yeah, I actually had to go back and on my way to the north there to the Canadian border where I was at. I actually rewatched the NBA Combine
Mhm.
game on the way there
Right.
because like my wife drove like 3 or 4 hours and I was bored. I was like, man, let me rewatch this pick and or
Right.
like watch this game. And that guy, when you watch film, you see talent, and that guy was a walking talent. Like you could
Yeah.
just see just the way he moved. Me as a football coach and as a scouter and like all this stuff, like I see stuff on film that most people do not see. So like you could have the worst game of your life, but the way you move, the way you carry yourself, I don't care if you
Right.
get 116 yards like on the ground or 46 points. Like I am looking for the way you move, the way you carry yourself, and the way you interact with people around you. And that guy that the Spurs got, he is going to be a special player. He was definitely a steal. I mean, both of the picks for the Spurs were steal. Keldon Johnson at 29. You said it yourself. Keldon Johnson thought he was going to go 19th overall, or maybe not 19th like overall, but in the top 20.
He did.
I believe I had him going 29 to the Spurs because I thought that would be a great pick for the Spurs. And
yes.
And what is that 23 when Cleveland came and drafted and you had Kevin Porter Jr. on the board and Keldon Johnson both on the board, and the Cavs did not pick him at that point, or the Cavs did not pick either of those two guys. At that point, I knew that Keldon Johnson was going to go to the Spurs.
Right.
And I'm in a bunch of UK boards because I also do a Kentucky sports show, and people were, man, they felt bad for Keldon, but I'm like, look, guys, Keldon is going to the San Antonio Spurs with Coach Popovich. What better opportunity as a player could you have? I mean, just like you said, he may not be starting this year, maybe not even the next year, but year 3, 4, 5, 6, this guy is going to be an all-star. He is going to be a great player, learning underneath Pops, learning how to be a professional. This has got to be the steal of the draft. Number 29, Keldon Johnson.
Yeah.
Guys, mark my words right now on June 24th. Not next year, not the year after that, but year 3, 4, 5, and 6. This guy is going to be a great player in the NBA. Look for him to lead a lot of all-star teams. So,
yeah, I mean, even if he doesn't do that, let's just say he ends up being a really solid player, 15 points, lockdown defender, and all that stuff. It was a steal at 29. I was amazed. And the team you're talking about that picked 28 before the Spurs, the Warriors, who we'll get into in a second on the worst drafts, they passed up on Keldon Johnson and Kevin Porter, which is a pretty freaking amazing to me. So no, and you're 100% right on the scouting thing. You can watch a basketball player say go 0 of 8 from the field, but if you watched how he moved and now he got open and now he dribble drived and now he played defense and everything, you still give him a good evaluation of talent.
Yeah.
Because he missed a couple of shots, that doesn't mean anything. He's still a good player. You can still give him a good grade.
And in the pros, they will break you down and they will build you right back up. So if your shot is a little off, if you have an elbow that flutters out, or you shoot two-handed, or you just aren't getting enough lift, this is what the professional coaches do in the NBA. You may not see actual coaching in the games because I kind of think the players kind of coach themselves just a tad bit, but in this off season, Keldon Johnson is going to totally refine his game. He has now a professional mindset because, I want to say he is pissed off that, 20 other teams did not pick him. He has that, I'm trying to think of the player's name, but it was Lamar Jackson. He was the first overall pick in the second round. So he's like, I have 31 wins that I want to get every year. And he has a little chalkboard. Every time he beats a team, he checks them off. I can see Keldon Johnson being that same type of player for San Antonio, have that blue collar work ethic, get down and dive on the court. I've seen him play at Kentucky a lot. He's going to be great.
Lamar Jackson was taken 32nd overall. That was the last pick of the first round. So he's got 31 teams. You're right.
Yeah.
He's got 31 teams that passed on him. And what made it unique was that Baltimore jumped back in. I think they traded with New England, who had the last pick. Or they traded with somebody, and they wanted Lamar Jackson. They didn't want him to get to the second round and everybody reevaluate their draft board. They wanted him at 32. And so they got him. You're right. 31 other teams passed on him. You're right. Yeah.
Man, I can't wait to get into football season because I think Lamar Jackson is the most overrated quarterback in all of sports. But we'll get to that very soon here because football season is coming very, very soon here. So with your Spurs, we talked about two great picks in the first round. What kind of grade do you give them?
The Spurs, well, it's a B plus. I mean, there's no A's really. I mean, Luca and Keldon, I think, can be really, really good, but they're not, they're not the transcendent player or something that possibly could be like in the top 10 or something like that. But we'll see. I mean, it's hard to give draft grades, but right now, give him a B plus. That was pretty good. A lot of people thought maybe they would take Keldon at 19, right?
Yeah, right.
And then if Luca was there at 29, you take Luca. Luca probably be there at 29. But the Spurs did it opposite. They took Luca at 19 and then got so lucky Keldon's there at 29. But I think Boston wanted Luca at 20, and so Spurs went ahead and pulled the trigger on Luca. And I think Boston traded out at 20 as soon as the Spurs did that.
Yeah, I would love to be a fly on the wall in these, these GM offices during
Yeah.
during a draft, just to see all what happens, to see if that movie, what's that movie called, Draft Day, is actually
Yeah.
the way it works. Like I would just love to be a part of that.
Right. With Kevin Costner.
Yeah, yeah.
It wasn't a bad movie. I liked it. It was entertaining.
Yeah, I mean, I kind of hope they make a Draft Day 2 to play the opposite role. I think it was the Browns playing, trading with
Right.
the Seahawks. So like, be in the Seahawks role and trade with the Browns in that same. I don't know. It just
Right.
whatever. That's the story for a different show. But I got to give the Pacers an A minus on this, because they got two players that that will fit into the San Antonio town, you can say. Obviously I don't live in San Antonio, but San Antonio seems like a blue collar, show up, do your work, go home, and be humble about it type of place. And these two guys that they got are definitely those type of talents. And Greg Popovich can grow those talents and keep them in San Antonio for like a while. I'm not saying Keldon Johnson will be a Tim Duncan type of player, but you got a Tim Duncan type of attitude. Always want to get better. Always want to be better, 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 better. So I got to give them an A to A minus on this draft, simply because of those two things there.
Right.
So let's.
And then your Pacers.
Oh yeah, go ahead. You've got.
No, your Pacers. Were you gonna talk Pacers?
Yeah.
No. I mean, Goga Bitadze was a good pick. I tell you what, I think Luka is a better player than Goga, because the Indiana Pacers had their chance to take Luka, but I think Luka is so similar to Sabonis that you didn't want two players, the same thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
So Goga is like an Enes Kanter that can block shots better than a better defender than Enes Kanter. So you're getting that type of player to go with Sabonis and Turner, Miles Turner. I mean, you got 3 6'11" guys. Man, that's pretty formidable front line if they can all play together. Because Turner would be the small forward, or I mean, Sabonis can, either. Basketball's so positionless now; it doesn't really matter. Goga's your true 4-5, obviously. But I mean, Turner and Sabonis are athletic enough to play small ball too. So, man, I thought that was a pretty good pick. I'm glad they took Luka. I'm glad they took Goga Bitadze, and not Luka, because it's just too similar to the way Luka plays, and that would have left the Spurs with Goga, and I'm not sure who the Spurs would have taken then at 19. But it's funny, Indiana made a decision. What they told you with that pick of Goga is they thought that Goga Bitadze was better than Kabengele from Florida State and Bol from Oregon. They passed up on some good big men there, and so that were still left. I think maybe even Bruno Fernando. So Indiana made a choice. Bitadze was better than Kabengele and a lot of the big men that weren't picked yet. And the jury's still out. I probably tend to agree. I like the way Bitadze plays. Like I said, he's Enes Kanter but can block shots. And so I'm glad they made that pick, because that made San Antonio take Luka. Because I think Spurs might have taken Goga if Indiana would have taken Luka. But Luka and Sabonis play too similar. So there's your probably reason why they didn't take Luka.
Right. When the Pacers drafted this guy, my thought was most of this area is who.
Yeah.
I had to go up and look tape on this guy. He's been playing professionally over there in Georgia since the age of 15. So since 2015, he's been playing professional basketball overseas. So that tells you when he comes here to Indianapolis, Indiana, puts on that Pacers jersey, he already has a professional work ethic. He is ready to work, ready to get better night in and night out. And there's not going to be that large of learning curve because he's been playing with older people, since he was a teenager. And
Yeah.
I'm really excited to see what he can do because
Right.
historically, overseas player from Spain, France, like etc., drafted
Right.
25 or like higher in the draft, always have 10 to 15-year careers with the same team. Um, that was just a fact that I randomly
Right.
saw on the internet and exposed it to you guys. So that like I wasn't looking for that stat like at all. Google must have been reading my mind. Shout out to Google for reading everything that how we say or think apparently. But yeah, I I am looking forward to see how this guy grows,
Yeah.
but hopefully he does not because he is a 6'11 and he's a white guy. Historically, 6'11 white guys don't have very good ball handling skills or really good outside shots. So hopefully, he has a little bit of that because I haven't seen any film on him at all. I
Yeah.
strictly just read his stat line and his bio, and it kind of sucks because I wish I had more knowledge on it like on him.
Well, look, he was obviously a first round pick because they invited him to the green room, so they
Right.
gave him a first round grade. And the only one that didn't get picked in the first round, I think Kevin Porter was the second to last person in the green room. So was Bol was the only one that didn't get picked that they gave a first round grade to. So Goga was in the green room. So obviously they thought he was a first round talent. So I don't think Indiana went wrong with that pick at all. I think it was a really good selection for them.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, they obviously were going large guy anyways, kind
Yeah.
of the Twin Tower look.
Right.
So with my lack of knowledge on this guy, I really can't justify a grade that I'm going to give them one way or the other.
Right.
So like I'm not even going to give them a grade just because like I gotta want to speak ignorance.
Right.
So do you have a possible you know draft grade on the Indiana
Well,
Pacers?
no, I mean, Pacers are a B. I mean, Goga was a supreme talent. That was, like I said, he wouldn't be in the green room. And these guys anymore. I know you said 6'11" white guy. These aren't your average 6'11" white guys
Right.
from the 80s or 70s. Goga can move. You look at Sabonis. He's a 6'11" white guy. That guy can move. You on your Indiana Pacers. That guy can shoot it, dribble,
Right.
drive. He's not like some white 6'11", 7-foot stiff out there. No, these guys are different now. Luka can move. Goga can move. Enes Kanter can move. These guys can get up and down the court and can play. Like I said, I'm gonna reiterate what I like about Goga is he's got the offensive game, but Enes Kanter doesn't really have the defensive game, and Goga's got defense. Goga will block your shot if you come down the lane, so that's why Goga was easily a first round talent.
Yeah. So there you go, Marcus the Freak. Guys, if you are on the Twitter machine and you have film of this guy, tweet at me at mbuck41 because I like watching film. I like rewatching games over and over and over just to see things that I missed in actual live game feed. Because let's all be honest, in an actual live game feed, we are following the ball, hoping for that big shot. We are not watching the big guys down in the post working to get open or setting screens for that big shooter. So send that to me at mbuck41 on the Twitter machine. So Marcus, like we have iterated here, there were some big winners and big drafts in this, or big winners and big losers in this draft, I should say.
Right.
One notable winner I want to say is Atlanta Hawks. They got that number 4 overall pick from LA, from New Orleans. So let me start there with just like with you. Who do you think was the biggest winner in this year's draft?
Man, there's some big winners. I love Atlanta. You get Cam Reddish and DeAndre Hunter. I mean, really? I mean, Cameron Reddish can shoot as well as anybody in the draft, and DeAndre Hunter can lockdown defender. They're both like 6'8", 6'7". I mean, just to go with what they have, yeah. I mean, Atlanta Hawks are moving in the right direction. New Orleans won the draft, in my opinion, to get Zion Williamson, Jackson Hayes. I mean, that front line right there is awesome. And if they can somehow re-sign Julius Randle, I mean, dude, you're talking about a team that's going to be up and down the court having fun. Jrue Holiday, I mean, that he's going to have an absolute blast. And then they went ahead with their 17th pick, and I see they got Nickeil Alexander-Walker, Nickeil Alexander-Walker from Vatek. He's Gidris Alexander's first cousin from the Clippers. That dude is the 17th pick for New Orleans, and he's not even going to start. I mean, he's going to be in the summer league, and I think he could challenge one day for six man. I mean, that guy's ambidextrous. I mean, that guy's right hand, left hand layup. I mean, he's a jack of all trades. I mean, he's a super talented player. And if he's anything like his first cousin, they hit a home run, New Orleans, with their 17th selection. Because Nickeil Alexander can play point. He's a combo guard. He can play the point if he has to. He can play the two guard. He might even slide him over to small forward in small ball situations. He's 6'5", and he can do it all. I mean, so New Orleans getting Nickeil Alexander with the 17th pick and Jackson Hayes blocking shots. What was that, with the 8th pick? And then Zion with the first pick. I mean, those three selections right there are awesome. So New Orleans is walking away. I mean, you got to be really happy if you're a New Orleans fan. Atlanta did themselves a big with their two first round picks. And I don't know what you thought. I mean, I thought you surprised me a little. We're talking about it. Man, Cleveland did absolutely fabulous with their selections. Cleveland, they took Darius Garland to go with Colin Sexton. Now, I would have taken Jarrett Culver, but if you want they want to recreate what Portland's doing, but even better, and Darius Garland and Colin Sexton can be that to a certain extent. I mean, Colin Sexton's not a great shooter; he's more of a point guard, but Darius Garland's such a good combo guard that he can be Joe Dumars. You know, he can be C.J. McCollum. He can be that type of player. I think he's even more talented than that. I put him up there with Lillard and Kyrie Irving as his ceiling. But if you want that kind of backcourt, I mean, that's talented. Colin Sexton and Darius Garland, that could be one of the best backcourts in the Eastern Conference. They did great there, and then they also took Dylan Windler, my guy. Oh my God, Dylan Windler, Cleveland, man, 6'7", 6'8". Can shoot the ball as well as anybody in the draft. There's about 10 really great shooters, and he's one of them in this draft. Dylan Windler is a guy I wanted for the Spurs, even maybe even at 29, but he was gone before then because Cleveland scooped him up there. Man, you need a big shot. Dylan Windler will hit the big shots. This guy is fearless, and he's a baller. He's a small forward, but he can play. He can play two guard as well. And then they ended the night with Kevin Porter, the second to the last guy in the green room. And Kevin Porter, 6'5", multi-talented from USC. So, I mean, man, Cleveland hit it out the park with Porter and Windler and Garland, those three first picks. I mean, you talk about guys that can just get up and down the court and just play basketball with Colin Sexton. This is going to be fun to watch in Cleveland, man, because offensively, they should not have a problem with adding those three guys. So Cleveland did well. New Orleans did well, and Atlanta did well. I mean, with the multiple picks there in the first round. So those are mine. I mean, I got a couple of losers. I mean, I got a main loser, but yeah, those Cleveland, New Orleans, and Atlanta were great.
Yeah, I agree with everything that you said there, except for the Cleveland. I think they could have done better with their the 21st or 19th pick there. They picked a kid out of Bellarmine, I think it was.
Belmont.
Yeah, and I think there was a better pick there that they could have taken. They could have took Keldon Johnson. They could have took Kevin Porter. Pretty much anybody but that kid. But I'm not going to question their scouting ability because I have not seen this kid play. Just besides in that I saw him one game versus Evansville that they played. It was a really early season game when they're still showing the small leagues on ESPN there. But the definite winner, I think, has got to be a Atlanta Hawks. They did great things in that draft by moving up to the 4th overall pick. I mean, that was a huge pickup, and to get a top 5 talent in Cam Reddish at the 10th overall pick. Yeah. I was really surprised to see him slide down that far. And I'm going to take a word out of your playbook here. The Atlanta Hawks were sprinting to the stage to hand in that card when they saw Cam Reddish was still available.
Absolutely.
At 10. That has got to probably be the biggest steal of the draft. And let's look at free agency like a tad bit now. Atlanta is now a destination to be. They have a young nucleus, a very, very good young core. You know, they could be a veteran player away. They could be a Jimmy Butler away. They could be a Kemba Walker away to being, the best team out east easily. They did really, really well in this draft. So I got to say they did the best. Coming in second was the Spurs. I like what the Spurs did. Their second round pick, Quincy, last name slipping my
Oh,
mind now.
Quindary Weatherspoon.
Yeah. I saw him play earlier this year from the Missouri State. Very, very solid player. Very, very blue collar work ethic as well. Spurs did really well by getting players that are going to come in there and work their tails off to become the team that you want them to be,
Right.
and I remember them being. So let's go ahead and switch gears 100%. Shift it in reverse. Who is your biggest loser in the draft?
Man, I love to say this. I thought it was the Golden State Warriors. They had the 28th pick, and they took Jordan Poole. Jordan Poole is a good basketball player from Michigan, 6'5". I mean, he doesn't do anything really well. He does everything. He does everything well, but he doesn't do anything great. I mean, I think he's just a player. I mean, he's got some handles. He can shoot it. But there's nothing that stands out like, oh my God, did you watch Jordan Poole do that? He hit a buzzer beater a couple years ago versus Houston in the NCAA tournament. But I mean, other than that, there's nothing that stood out at Jordan Poole's game for Michigan. I just don't. Quindary Weatherspoon, who the Spurs took at 49, is the same player.
Right.
At what Golden State took at Jordan Poole. They're both solid players, nice, but they're second round grades. And so when you're sitting there, that's the big head scratcher for me. Golden State's sitting there, and you're sitting there, and Kevin Porter, who's much more skilled than Jordan Poole, is sitting there, and Keldon Johnson is probably going to be a better basketball player than Jordan Poole, an inch taller, and he can guard better. He's more fearless, I think, than Jordan Poole. Like, he's not afraid of the moments. Right. Keldon Johnson, man, I thought for sure Golden State was going to take Keldon Johnson or Kevin Porter, and they took neither, and they took Jordan Poole, and I was like, wow. And then they could have, like I said, they could have taken Quindary Weatherspoon. It's the same player. He's a good player. I'm not really necessarily putting down the player in the sense of just putting down in the sense of where he went and who Golden State passed on. I thought that was kind of a reach there. I mean, Jordan Poole is a late second round grade, just like the Spurs' Quindary Weatherspoon. They're the same player. I don't know how I can emphasize that the most. I mean, if you watched him, they just changed their jerseys. It's the same player. And so I think Golden State really reached. There was more talented players with more upside at 28 than what they took. So I was happy about that. The Celtics, no, I don't think they're a loser in the draft. I love Romeo Langford. You just give it to him, and they're going to lose Kyrie. So Romeo's one of those guys where shot clocks, give it to Romeo, dude. He'll find a way. I'm not so much in love with Grant Williams, to be honest. Yes. I think he's too short for a power forward, 6'6" or 6'7". I think he's a little short. I know he's been. Listen, I don't want to question his heart. No way, dude. Grant Williams gets it done. But I think he'll get swallowed. He's not the athletic like a Zion. Well, nobody's athletic as Zion, but he's not even more. He's not more athletic than Luka. Luka's 6'11".
Right.
He's not a great athlete. I think he'll get swallowed up. I think there were actually better players to take in Boston 22, but I love the Romeo Langford pick. But who knows? Grant Williams could become a player. I mean, I just think athletic wise, there were better players to take at that position. And let me tell you, real quick. Let me go back to a winner who we didn't discuss. The Nuggets had one pick. They took Bol. I think that's huge. I think Bol is going to be really good.
Yeah.
And for him to learn there with Nikola Jokic, that's going to be fun. For Bol went to a nice situation too with an already ready-made good team that could contend for a title next year. And so, man, I'm looking at losers. I mean, I can't really say any losers. The Golden State Warriors just jump out at me. The Clippers I like. They took Kabengele, and they already have a player like that in Montrezl Harrell. But hey, Montrezl Harrell gets hurt. You just insert Kabengele from Florida State. He's taller. He's got longer arms than Montrezl Harrell. He's but they could even play together if teams want to go big, because these guys can get up and down the court. Philadelphia took Matisse Thybulle, good player, but I thought that was a little high at 20, who doesn't have a great offensive game. And also they have a player similar in Zaire Smith, who they're expecting to come back. Both 6'5", both great defenders. So I don't know, maybe they're just going out, for to have one of the best defensive teams, Philadelphia. But I thought there was more talented players that Philadelphia could have taken at 20 than Matisse Thybulle, but. My big loser, let me just go back, come full circle here. Golden State Warriors taking Jordan Poole. I'm telling you, he's the same player the Spurs took at 49 and Quindary Weatherspoon. Good player, but does nothing fancy, nothing flashy about his game. There were better Kevin Porter and Keldon Johnson. The Golden State Warriors passed on two talents. I think Kevin Porter's even more talented than Keldon Johnson with the basketball in his hand. So that tells you Golden State, I think, blew it on this taking Jordan Poole.
Yeah, the Golden State has historically been pretty good in the drafts the last 10, 12
Yeah.
years. Getting
Yeah.
Steph Curry and
Yeah.
Klay Thompson. But this Poole pick, on the surface right now, it looks like a horrible pick.
Yeah.
You can tell in his post game interview with the that chick. Her name slipped in my mind, but he had to come down from the second tier in the deck, work his way down 10 minutes later, and then finally
Maria Taylor.
Yeah. So like they had to go to a commercial break to like let him come down from the second deck to come down and like interview. So clearly the NBA didn't think he was a first round talent. Watching his post draft interview, he didn't think he was a first round talent either. And like during the interview process, like he's like, well, maybe I become a splash cousin or something to that effect. So I was hoping for a little bit more confidence out of him and like, saying, hey, I'm going to step on there and I'm going to do great things on that team. Clearly that wasn't the case. So clearly this is not a good pick for the Golden State Warriors.
Yeah.
I think they were, probably one of the worst picks there that they could have done.
Yeah. It's weird because they're losing Klay Thompson and they're losing Kevin Durant, and they need supreme scoring. And if they would have taken Kevin Porter, who can score on anybody
but Poole, they could have taken Kevin Porter, Keldon Johnson,
and
or even a big man.
Keldon Johnson could have learned behind Draymond Green at small forward there and learned how to do it from Draymond Green. That would have been a good spot for Keldon to just watch Draymond Green and how he plays.
Yeah. I couldn't agree with more of that.
And Porter, are you kidding me? Porter's so talented that he could have been starting opposite Stephen Curry in some games, replacing Klay Thompson, who's hurt at the moment. So I really think and watch Jordan Poole average about 15 points a game and make first team all rookie, right? Because they'll need him to come in. But no, he's a good player, but he doesn't have that ceiling level that Kevin Porter has. And I just thought that was just amazing that they passed on Keldon Johnson, who could learn behind Draymond, and Kevin Porter, who could come in almost and start right away.
But he did fall in a good situation because he is not a focal point of any offense. So, he could be that, that piece that they're going to miss this year, not having KD and Klay and Klay Thompson. But moving forward past this year, it was a horrible pick. Now my ultimate worst draft pick ever has to be the Boston Celtics. Just like you said, Grant Williams from Tennessee. He is a good player. Do not get me wrong. He reminds me of Dennis Rodman back when he played with the with your San Antonio Spurs, coming to the league hungry and just getting every board. He will be like that type of player. But every mock draft had him as a mid-second round talent. Why take him in the mid-first round when he is going to probably be there in the second round as well? And the Celtics did have, 2 second-round picks, if I'm not mistaken?
Yeah.
And if they didn't have any second-round picks, they could have traded that 20 pick to somebody probably want to jump up in the first round to get a second-round pick as pay pick as well.
Right.
So Boston Celtics, I love the Romeo Langford pickup. I think he is going to be a good player. Fits Boston really, really, really well. But Grant Williams at number 22, I think it was, that was a horrible pick. That was the dumbest pick that they could have ever taken there. They are going to lose a lot of pieces in Celtics land this year, and they needed to add some depth to their shooting guards and small forwards. So, i.e., Kevin Porter would have been perfect there too.
Grant Williams is just on the short side. Like he's getting swapped. Man, they had a chance to take Kabengele or Bruno Fernando if they're going to lose Al Horford. That would have been a really good replacement, Kabengele or Fernando to replace Al Horford. The height, the 6'10", 6'11".
Mm-hmm.
But taking 6'6", 6'6.5" Grant Williams, I don't know about that. I mean, I just shocked me a little bit.
The only thing he has going for him is he's a thick body. He is like this is going to be weird to say, but when Kentucky played Tennessee twice this year, they talked
Right.
about his body fat. He has 6% body fat on him pretty much all year round, and he is a solid 270. So
Yeah,
6'6",
and
270. He's sick. Yeah,
nobody's questioning Grant Williams' heart here.
yeah.
He plays tenacious. So
Yes.
I'm not questioning that. We're
No.
not questioning that at all.
Just we're questioning his size and the power forwardness. So he would be a great,
And
small forward. But
and
he
we're
doesn't have the ball
questioning where he
necessarily.
went in the draft.
Right. So
Yeah.
Celtics, you messed that up. Congratulations. Golden State Warriors, you messed your pickup as well. Maybe not this year, but moving forward, when Klay Thompson does come back, if he signs back with y'all, you're going to realize, man, we could have had Keldon Johnson. We could have had Kevin Porter. We could have had Boyle.
Yeah.
Anybody but Poole. So your biggest losers was Golden State. My biggest losers got to be the Celtics. I think our winners are pretty much the same. It is hard not to judge or say anything bad of what the Hawks did in the draft and what the Pelicans did in the draft as well.
Those two teams, either one of those two teams, they made out like bandits. They're going to be fine.
Yeah. So speaking of basketball season is wrapping up, but we have a couple more things that are happening tonight. We have the awards ceremony. A couple of the biggest things that are happening is you have the Rookie of the Year between Trae Young and a guy from Dallas Mavericks. His name's slipping my mind right now for
Luka
whatever
Doncic.
reason. And you have the MVP as well. So Marcus, who do you think is going to win the Rookie of the Year?
I'll be honest. I think it's an even thing. I mean, it's hard for me to, Luka started out with the house on fire, then he tailed off a little bit. Trae Young started off a little slow, then he caught fire. Their stats are so similar. If you look at their stats side by side, they haven't had a co-rookie of the year since Grant Hill and Jason Kidd in '94. It might be a co-one. I'll be honest. I mean, it's so hard to choose on these two players. I mean, they're so similar. I guess, man, gun to my head, I guess I would say Trae Young, because he played the rest of the season better than Luka. Like the second half of the season, he hit that rookie wall, then slammed through it.
Right.
So I'm gonna say Trae Young, if a gun to my head, but I think it should be a co-rookies of the year. They're both pretty even. They're both pretty the same. Yeah.
I think any co-award is kind of a cop-out answer. I don't like the co-MVPs, the co-rookie of the years, or and like all that stuff. I think it sucks for the player because was it a couple years ago that they had a co-MVP for the NBA All-Star game. It was between James and somebody else. I can't remember who it was.
Duncan and Shaq had a co-MVP in the All-Star game in 2000. So yeah, right. I know what you mean.
So I mean, it's kind of a cop-out answer. So I'm going to go with you on this one. I like how Trae Young finished the year.
Yeah,
I'm not too worried about how you start the season. It's kind of about how you finish the season. And just like you said, that rookie wall hit the Mavericks player like a ton of bricks, and he slowed way down. Trae Young got better as the season.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to
he learned the game.
Yeah, no, it's hard to argue your point. He got better as it evolved, even though they ended up with the same stats,
right?
Like similar, great. But the guy who went through the rookie wall, and got better as the season progressed, I'm gonna take that guy.
Yeah, and Trae Young was also his team was. I mean, yes, they weren't in the playoffs, but they were still battling for that playoff seed toward the last week or two of the year.
Right.
Like I think there's 3 games left, when they were officially out of it, but they're still right there with no help around him. I mean, he had a couple other younger players, but pretty much no help around him. So I think we're both on the same page there. Trae Young does get the award tonight. Now the MVP. This has been kind of the biggest talk about thing for the last month and a half. Who do you think is going to win the MVP tonight?
Giannis Antetokounmpo. I just think what Milwaukee did. I know Coach Bud changed the culture there and the system and all that stuff. So that, the people say coaches don't matter. They matter at the beginning. They may not matter, if you have an all great team. I mean, there's lots of coaches that can coach great teams. I'll be honest with you, but you can have a coach come in and change the culture and change things. Mark Jackson was a hell of a coach, and Steve Kerr came in and implemented defense and his offensive system, and they got better. Now, would they have continued to get better under Mark Jackson? Probably, maybe. I mean, we don't know yet, but the proof is in the pudding. Steve Kerr came and changed that a little bit, and they got better. Milwaukee Coach Bud came in there and changed Milwaukee. It made them a top 3 defensive and a top 3 offensively. Coach Bud did that. Okay, now the players were already there in place for Coach Bud to do that, but he did change it nonetheless. What Giannis did throughout the year, his team, like, it was like 50 to 55 games, or it was like 50 games where they won 10 plus by double digits, 10 plus points. They had the NBA's best record, and it was consistent throughout the entire year. And they just ran into a buzzsaw there with Kawhi Leonard, to be honest. Kawhi Leonard is a transcendent player. So, it's like Karl Malone kind of running into Michael Jordan. It's like, Karl Malone's Karl Malone, but you ran into Michael Jordan, to be honest. It was just this year's version of it. So Karl Malone still should get the MVP, just like Giannis Antetokounmpo should get the MVP here. James Harden, great season. I mean, damn, 36, 7 and 7. I mean, that's incredible. But that they struggled a little bit throughout the year, and then they went in a couple of nights at the end of they were like they're going to be the 2nd seed, and they ended up being the 4th seed, and they ended up playing that doomed their season. They ended up playing the Warriors in the 2nd round instead of the Western Conference Finals.
Right. And
so James Harden's responsible for that. You got to take that one on the shoulder. You got to take that one on the chin. So if Houston would have finished maybe with the number 1 seed, I might have changed my mind about the James Harden thing. But no, Giannis was the most consistent. Milwaukee was the most consistent. Milwaukee blew teams doors off.
Right.
And ended up with the NBA's best record. So I'm going to give it to Giannis, the Greek Freak, Giannis Antetokounmpo.
Yeah, I hear everything you're saying, and I agree with you 100% on that. But it all falls on the voters' shoulders of like when they voted for their MVP. Did they vote before James Harden fell off that last for that last week of the year, or they vote right as the playoff time? And with that being said, I'm going to have to go with James Harden because I think people voted a little bit early before they dropped from that 1 seed down to that 5th seed, as you said there. What he had, 33? No, I'm sorry, that's the Russell that I had that. But when you carry a Houston Rocket team the way you did this year, Chris Paul obviously is not the same player that he was.
Nope.
He didn't have a lot of players around him, so he had to be the focal point of the team. So the question that I always ask myself when voting or thinking MVP race player, if you would put this same exact player on a different team, is he going to have more success or less success? Like, is he going to bring talent or is he going to bring ego? What is he going to bring? And I think the Greek Freak, you can put him on any team and he will still be an MVP caliber type of player from this year. So my vote is going to go to him, but I think James Harden gets it because of when the voting happened, basically what it comes down to.
And this doesn't have anything with the MVP voting, but I'm going to say this since we're talking about both the players. James Harden cannot lead his team to a championship.
No.
Have we seen that? It's not going to happen. It's just not going to happen, right? I mean, he's going to be one of those. He's going to be one of those, Reggie Millers, but better than Reggie. But, Karl Malone, the list goes on and on. Elgin Baylor, of great players that are not going to, hold the trophy one day. This is not going to happen. Now everybody would have to get hurt. Now it's going to be easier because the Warriors aren't going to struggle making the playoffs this year.
Right.
And but James Harden, I think will never do it. Flip that around. Giannis Antetokounmpo, if he develops a jump shot, which can happen, the ceiling's still there. If Giannis can develop a 3-point shot, and where he gets the ball at the 3-point line, you go, oh man, can't leave Giannis open. Then it is over.
Right.
Giannis will be a Finals MVP.
To be honest, he could have been a Finals MVP this year if
he could have.
If the Toronto Raptors wouldn't have had Kawhi Leonard. Like if Kawhi was on any other team besides Toronto, the Milwaukee Bucks. Say the same thing happened with the Golden State. Katie gets hurt, Clay gets hurt. The Milwaukee Bucks would have been the championship. Or the
they would have.
this year.
I would have, yes, I would have easily. Giannis would have been the Finals MVP versus this version of the Warriors.
Right.
I
So
firmly believe that. Yeah, and Milwaukee has just as good as defenders, and they actually have just as good as length
mhm.
as Toronto does. So, yeah, the Eastern Conference was going to win the title this year because
Of what
there was
happened.
no Kevin Durant.
Right. And
Yeah.
and just to add to your point that they like moving forward, if the Bucks had the same team, the same talent, the way they played this year, and if Kawhi goes to LA like everybody thinks he is,
Yes.
LA is going to beat each other up. Bucks are going to be healthy going in
Yeah.
to the finals. So look out for Milwaukee Bucks and and
But
the Greek
right.
Freak to
Well,
be a Finals MVP.
right. Well, yeah, he can. Like that's what I'm saying. His
Yeah.
ceiling is bigger than Harden's. But that being said, Milwaukee Bucks have a lot of decision making to do and who they're going to. Mirotic is a free agent.
Right.
Brogdon's a free agent. Lopez is a free agent. They've got some stuff going on there in Milwaukee that they need to keep these players to keep this thing going. In honor of Sammy Sosa, keep it continue.
There you go, guys.
Hey, is that good English? Is that good English for you, Michael? Keep it continue.
Yeah, something like that.
You ever heard Sammy Sosa? They asked Sammy Sosa. They asked him about his winning streak, and he goes, "Yeah, well, we just got to play hard and keep it continue.
Yeah.
Keep it." So me and my brother always say we're gonna keep it continue.
Yeah, like
It's
listening to
hilarious,
those, just like I always love hearing those Puerto Rican born players talk because their English is so like,
Yeah, it's funny.
like spotty.
But
Like have a
this
guy
is
named Salvador Perez, the catcher for the Kansas City team. Like he's the smartest guy like you'll ever meet,
Right.
but his English just makes him sound like so like out there, just like man.
yeah, it's funny. But man, when I hear Sammy Sosa, keep it continue. I think that's hilarious. Because he's broken English. He doesn't. He just keep it continue. But then there's this white guy one time. It was during that run of the Sosa McGuire. He didn't know anything about baseball, and he was giving an award to Sammy Sosa and Mark McGuire, and he said, "We're going to give this award to Sammy Souser and Mike McGuire." But it was just hilarious.
Nice.
That used to run on different shows about how you butcher names. Mike McGuire and Sammy Souser.
All
But
right.
yeah, no. Hey, get it back to Milwaukee. Hey, if they re-sign those players and Kawhi Leonard leaves, although you know what, even if Kawhi Leonard didn't leave Toronto, man, that's going to be a battle royal. If Giannis got better and they came back with the same team,
Right.
run it back. Milwaukee versus Toronto, that's going to be good too.
Yeah, if nothing in the NBA landscape changes, Toronto and Bucks are going to be in the Eastern Conference Finals like again. But this year, I would give the edge to the Bucks because
Yeah.
like I'm looking forward to see the Greek Freak next year,
Yeah.
to see how much he improves. So
And then the 76ers are knocking on that door too. They have the same thing. They have to re-sign Tobias and Jimmy Butler.
right,
It took a crazy Kawhi shot to beat the Sixers, and Embiid was hurt. He did his stupid ass Embiid crap going to the bathroom. I mean, just if Embiid plays a full 6 game series,
hmm
Philadelphia might beat Toronto. Embiid would have a game. Remember, we had 13 points, going to the bathroom all the time, missing a
Right.
quarter, all that crap. And then when he played, he had like 35 and 18. If he quit doing that stuff and actually played like Joel Embiid, and they brought back JJ Redick and they brought back Tobias Harris and Jimmy Butler, they could have something to say too. So I mean, this is not Toronto one is fabulous, but the East has 3 teams that are really good, and then Indiana could knock on that door as well when they get Oladipo back. So that's why this offseason is so interesting, and see who re-signs with who.
people
Because
are
I'm gonna
kind
tell
of
you right
sweeping
now,
away the East, but the East is starting to
Yes.
build himself, guys. Watch
Yes.
it. Watch it.
absolutely. And if Indiana brings that same team back with Oladipo and Philadelphia dismantles, Kawhi leaves, it's going to be Indiana, Milwaukee.
Yeah. Watch out,
In
guys.
the
I mean,
Eastern Conference Finals.
I'm kind of. This is the first time in a long time that I'm looking forward to NBA season as much as I'm looking forward to the NFL season. Simply because you can't circle the Golden State Warriors and say, oh,
Right.
they're going to go to the finals. It's anybody's ball game, like at this point. So before we head out, Marcus, any closing thoughts?
It's funny. All the basketball's gone. I know the award ceremonies tonight. God, that award ceremony, it's so anticlimactic.
Right.
I could really care less about it. I mean, I might just look at it on SportsCenter tonight and see who won this stuff. But I mean, I really wish the NBA would go back to what they used to and give the Rookie of the Year and give the during the playoffs and give the MVP to the playoffs. And the NBA, please, yes, it's okay to have a regular season MVP. That's fine. Giannis should get that. Let's have a Finals MVP. We saw who that was, Kawhi Leonard.
Yep.
Let's have a playoff MVP.
Kawhi Leonard.
Yeah, but still though, wouldn't you want to see a regular season MVP and then a playoff MVP? That would be awesome. Yeah, I don't understand how the it's like okay, there's a regular season MVP and then there's the championship MVP. Well, what happened to the 2 months in between? There's no MVP there.
Right.
Like,
that's a great point.
So, it's so anticlimactic this award ceremony tonight. I don't know if I'll watch it, but what it is, what it is. But we both have Trae Young and Giannis. Is that what you have?
Yep.
Yeah.
The one thing I wish the NBA would do is start the free agency season before the draft because I don't like so technically Hunter was drafted by LA technically. So
right.
But then, the Pelicans had the rights and then the Hawks had the rights.
Right.
So either move the draft back a week and keep the free agency season starting at the same time. But
right.
I want to see my team draft the guy, not the Lakers draft Hunter then he gets traded to Pelicans and they get traded to So the question is, on his basketball card, does it have LA Lakers, Pelicans, and the Hawks on for his first year?
It's so stupid. If I was DeAndre Hunter's dad, I would have said we don't want that hat.
Right.
I'm not going to wear a hat of a team and for interviews for years to come. And the team I'm not. Why would I put on a Lakers hat?
Yeah,
I think that's so stupid by the NBA. Putting on different hats.
Just like Kobe Bryant, wasn't he drafted by the Hornets?
He put the Charlotte Hornets hat on. I mean, I don't think that trade didn't happen right then and there though. That wasn't. If I remember correctly, I think he actually thought he was going to Charlotte for a second. But as far as the DeAndre Hunter thing, we knew that he wasn't going to the Lakers at all.
Yeah.
That's just dumb. And then the whole night we knew different players that I think Matisse Thybulle had to put on a Celtics or another hat. I mean, It's just dumb. Just give the guys the right hats.
Well,
I think that's
how they can fix that is move the draft back or move free agency up. So
right, and I'm gonna be honest with you, I would refuse the hat. If I knew I was going to Memphis, I'm not putting on a Clippers hat.
Yeah.
I would refuse it. I would say no, thanks.
That's a great point. Yeah, I am not supporting the team that I'm not playing for.
I would say give it to one of these little kids down here in my hat. I'd take it, and then I'd hand it to one of the little kids that was there.
Right. That's a great point, guys. So join us tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll kind of touch on the awards. Free agency starts on Wednesday, so we'll kind of preview that a little bit. But guys, as always, thank you for joining us. Like, comment, subscribe. Share us with a couple friends. Invite everybody. We'll see you guys tomorrow. We out.
All right.